Hey, good morning. Woo-hoo! Ready to rock this week. So, hey, I want to talk to you all week. So, this is literally day one of 5 days where I'm going to talk about how to find the money to grow your business or do whatever it is that you want. So, I get asked this question all the time. And the question really is like, how do I find the money to reinvest in my business, or how do I find the money to invest in my business? And I want to speak to a couple different income levels. So, this question is relevant whether you're someone who is doing, 200,000, 300,000, $500,000, $7 million a year, or someone who's actually struggling and is trying to figure out, like, I have to make money right now. Otherwise, I'm going to implode, which I, believe it or not, remember that feeling very, very well. I remember feeling, when I was in that state, I remember feeling so low, like, and I don't want to just speak into the struggle, because I want to speak into the people who have money as well, and how do you actually find the money. But I remember when I was at my lowest of low, and I was getting foreclosure notices on my door. And I remember getting up, and I was totally into law of attraction, all those things at this time in my life. I went to church very transiently, meaning that I went to church basically because I needed it. And if you line all those things up, I was a total taker. I mean, everything I did was to really just fix me and get me feeling better again. And so that's first indicator number one. If you're stuck in the problem and everything you're doing is consuming you to just feel better, to just get out of whatever it is that you're in right now, you're already in an energy of intensity that prevents you from finding the money. So I remember literally being in that space, and I would journal and I could not find the money. I mean, I needed to pay my mortgage and I couldn't find the money. So it's not like I wasn't willing to work. I was willing to work. I just couldn't figure out, I couldn't go to my parents. I couldn't, I had no email list. So I had nobody that I could actually, no marketing channels or campaigns or funnels. I really had nothing that anybody would ever talk about that you needed to have to be able to create money. And that was bad on me on the first place, because I spent so much time being consumed with trying to feel better and, using all, and I mean this with so much love, but using all my esoteric, tricks in my bag, even paying for psychics at one point in my life to just try and get some sort of guidance to feel better, which I'm not going to shun any of that, because I know everybody believes in different things, but I'm just going to say that none of these things work unless you change your come from in the beginning. And I'm going to talk to that during me sharing 3 different ways to actually find the money. So when everything shifted for me, it was actually when I went to a seminar. And I dragged my tushy out of bed and I went to a seminar, a real estate seminar. And when the guy was up on the stage, he was sharing how to wholesale a property. And I remember watching it, and all my problems were just not there because I was focused in that moment. So indicator number 1, write this down. You will stop worrying when you're on purpose. I don't care. Everybody works so hard. What's my purpose? What's my purpose? Your purpose is the thing that you should be doing next, that you're literally focusing on the step you're in. If you are focusing on the step you're in, you are literally on purpose. I mean, that's one level of purpose that I want everybody to just unhook from this. I have to figure it all out. I have to figure out what I'm doing, where I'm going, and all of it out. It's great if you know all that, but the truth is that there's never been a plan that I've ever created that's actually unleashed the exact way that I created it. It's been the bob and weave inside my head that's allowed me to be able to stay on the course and stay on the commitment, but still hit the exact goal that I wanted. So I will get into the 3 steps, but I need to preface it with this. When I'm sitting in this seminar, the guy up on the stage literally did a wholesale deal. And for you guys in marketing, for you guys as a CEO of a business, even as a CEO of your household, you need to understand that when you can paint a picture that is very clear to whoever your audience is, your 3-year-old son or daughter, or your husband or wife, or your ideal client, you need to get as far away from what your deal is and what you want, and actually into what it is that they want. And you need to paint a picture that they can clearly see and identify with and want. There's a couple indicators in there. They can see it and they want it, and they believe that it's simple enough that they can create that result. When those things are in any sort of communication with yourself or other people, then what happens is you unleash from the struggle of trying to find the money, and you actually find the money. So when I watched this person wholesale a deal up on the stage in a real estate seminar, I literally forgot about the foreclosure signs on my door. I forgot that I felt like such a loser, and that I had this hidden dirty secret that I was completely broke at that time in my life, and stressed out like crazy because I couldn't get ahead, and I couldn't figure out how to find the money. And I go to this beautiful seminar, which I really didn't have much interest in real estate. I had a real estate license, but I didn't really have much interest in real estate. I'm more interested in my spirituality, but I went there anyway because what was up for me was figuring out how to find the money. So I go to the seminar, they paint this amazing picture for me. I don't even really give a crap about real estate, but I look at that and I'm like, I can do that deal. And that deal equates to me making money. So the first lesson that you have to grab is how my mind unhooked from the struggle at whatever income level. And the second thing is that I didn't care how I made money, because the money was fueling a certain lifestyle. At that point in my life, the money was fueling me actually believing in myself and having any sort of self-worth and confidence, right? So I hear things especially in multi-level marketing, network marketing, things like that, where people say things like, I don't want to sell my time for money anymore. And it's like, you're broke. Sell your time for money. It's the quickest path to cash, is to actually sell your time. So please unhook from, if you need to make money, unhook from all these ideas of what you don't want to do, because that is a losing formula. Everybody I know who's obsessed about what they don't want to do, they just obsess themselves right into worst case scenarios that never get any better. Once people surrender and they get into this place, often it's they have to make money, then things change and they succeed. Now the other flip is when you start making insane money, you tend to be less focused on what you don't want, and you're more focused on, yeah, I'll try that. I'll do that personal development course. I'll hire that coach. I'll invest in that, whatever. And if it fails, you make nothing up about yourself that you're a loser. You just keep working it until it succeeds, right? So it's this dichotomy, this complete separation of mindsets that shift this life of being able to find the money. So that being said, I went off and I wholesaled real estate deals, and I invested $21,000. Get that. Couldn't pay my mortgage, couldn't pay my car payment, was losing 3 homes actually, which makes me sound rich, but it was in that time when you could actually buy a home with no money down from the banks, pretty much, with $250. So I should never have been in those homes as it was. I could have played a victim and said the banks took advantage of me. That's like someone who blames their coach. I never was that person. And if you are that person, you're going to have to unhook from that, because that righteousness will always have you lose. So that's the baseline that you have to work from, is what I just shared with you. So here are 3 ideas and 3 ways that I actually coach people on how to find the money now. And this is just to remind you, this is day 1 of 5 days that I'm going to stream at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, California time, on how to find the money. So there's going to be different information that comes out of me, and whatever hits your brain that you feel some level of trigger. I heard this in church on Sunday. I thought this was brilliant. The pastor got up and said, if I don't trigger you throughout the year, then something's wrong here. Because the Bible talks about, and this isn't a Bible lesson, but follow the concept here. When he was dating, when he was younger, he used to sleep with his girlfriends. And it's funny, he's a pastor today, right? We have our mission of where we're actually going to, whatever your real calling is on this planet, you're working towards it, and everything in your space right now and everything that you resist is actually queuing you up. Can you let go of this conversation inside your head that you know better? Just surrender to the formula. Remember, I already told you that's what successful people do. They put nothing, there's no pressure on it. They're like, I'll just do it whether I want to do it or not. There's no feelings, there's no emotions. They operate off commitment. So the pastor was like sleeping with his girlfriends. It wasn't a pastor yet. Then when he started getting into church and started getting into all that, he followed part of the formula of the scripture, which so many people do that in marketing funnels. They follow the part that they feel the strongest at or feel the most called to work with. And then what they do is they leave out small little details that make the whole formula come together. And for him, obviously becoming a pastor, it's important for him to follow all the rules that he's got to follow to be able to have the authority to speak on the topic, right? You can't have the authority to speak on your topic unless you follow all of the formula of whatever it is that you're doing. So it was, do not sleep with your partner or your wife, your husband until you get married. He didn't want to do that. So he wanted to ignore that part of the formula. Just follow this story because it was brilliant. And he said it was like every time he was around his Christian friends and they talked about this stuff, he'd be like, this is just like a marketing funnel. He'd be like, I don't want to listen to that part. Like that doesn't apply to me. And anyway, the thing just kept nagging him. And he was talking about how when things trigger us and we feel like it's like, that doesn't apply to me and I don't want to listen to that, that's a rub. And when that rub happens, that's like the thing to pay attention to. I find that that's money for so many people. Like they all showed them how to do a marketing funnel or how to find more clients or how to grow business. And they applied it. And they've wasted their time doing all these other things that don't create money. So write this down. I'm going to give you 3 things that help you find the money. If you picked one and you did it this week, if you picked one thing that I teach you over the 5 days, this is day 1 of 5, then you're going to find that you're going to have a breakthrough around finding the money at whatever income level, 100,000, 60,000, I have to make money now, to 7 million, anything in between. You're going to have to find the money anywhere in between because your visions get bigger and there's never enough resources. That's how this game of growth works. Wherever you're going, you don't have enough resources. So let that in. Instead of just looking at me as a talking head, let that in, that you must let this thing sink in if you're going to grow. Because when you hit your comfort zone and you're like, I've got enough, you are going backwards. You've heard many people that have made lots of money that end up completely broke again because they get comfortable. So the game of growth is around the game of generosity, which means it is past the level of comfort that you're at now. Okay, so idea number 1, if you have an email list, this applies to you and it's easy. If you have an email list, you have an audience, which means it costs you nothing to reach out to them. So for you, there's a couple things that you could do. There's 3 things I'm going to lay out for you. Number 1, you could focus on selling your time. You could do pay in fulls. So we do pay in fulls. If you want to come coach with us, you get 2 months of coaching free if you pay in full. That's just a no-brainer. Find the money, right? Like people find them, literally people find the money. And when they say yes to us on, let's say, a phone call or an event or whatever that is, they typically have about 20 days to come up with their pay in full. And we give them 2 months of coaching free if they do that. So that's one way. You just email your email list and you let them know that you have a limited amount of spots available because obviously if you're selling your time, you can't do 50 people, right? You might be able to do 10, 14, whatever that looks like. And that becomes your limiter in the email or the video. And you just let them know that you have this open and you're totally unattached. See, if you're not marketing and you just put out the call, there's always people who are interested. Okay. So that's, I'm not going to go into email marketing, but if you have an email list that you do understand some level of marketing, how many offers are you making a week? Twice a day would be great. Oh, but people are going to unsubscribe. Okay. There's a cost to everything. Let it go, right? Stop being a hoarder with not wanting any loss in your business, right? So let your email list go through some attrition as you bring on whatever it is, like let's say 10,000, 20,000, 18,000, 15,000, 7,000 times 14 people. Send out 2 emails a day, 2 videos a day, and offer these pay in full options. So that's one aspect to bring it. Those are cash injection strategies. Second thing is you could, if you have an email list, you could do a live retreat with let's say 10 or 14 people. All you have to really bring on is your first paying client. Once you have your first paying client, you can actually let them know. I just did this strategy with a client of mine who called me up, and she called me up and she said, I have this event in 12 days from now and I have 12 people coming. She goes, I'd love to double it, right? She's pregnant. She's giving birth in March, and she's like, I'd like to double it. Like how, and it's a fulfillment, meaning that's not a marketing event. It's a fulfillment event. It's for her clients. And I said to her, because I'm never attached, I'm like, why don't you call your 12 clients who are coming? It's their kickoff of the year event. So she's doing some of her best work is in this first retreat that she's doing for fulfillment, like delivering on the product. And I said, call those 12 people and tell them that you're already doing the event and you have room, because she told me I have room for 12 more people in this room. And then it caps out and I couldn't deliver the quality that I want. I said, great, call those 12 people, let them know that they spent, $12,000 to come to this event. Who do they know that should be at that event with them? And give it to them for free under the context of you're already doing the event anyway. She was like, oh, that feels stretchy. It's like some of my most important content. Once they have that, they're not going to want to hire me. I'm like, okay, so if you're really up to changing the world, if you are doing something anyway, you would graciously give it away for free, because she is doing the event anyway. So this way, she is going to have 12 more people at her event. So she'll have 24 instead of 12 paying clients, 12 guests. She can make an offer, and this is exactly the coaching I gave her, at the end of day 2 or the middle of day 2, right before dinner. I said, make an offer before the dinner break, and literally to the people who are guests, and say that, I showed her how to make an offer, but as she knows because we've taught it to her many times, but it's like, I said, excuse me, I said, make an offer to the guests that today, at the end of the day on day 2, that we'll be parting ways. And if they're interested in being a part of this program long-term, that they can come for dinner with you. And during dinner, you can actually talk to them about what it would take for them to be a part of that program. She will probably have an 80% conversion on that, okay? Because she's good with people and she can have dinner with them and she can talk to them, and she'll have order forms. And those order forms will go out at the beginning of dinner. She'll be able to talk to them, and she will probably, if she sucks, she's going to have half of those, which means she'll have six new $12,000 clients just from opening up and giving a little bit more in the context of what she's doing, and allowing her paying clients to bring a friend, even though her paying clients have already invested the $12,000. That's an idea. I'm just looking at my sheet. The other one is you could literally, actually, I'm going to skip the other one because I've got 4 more days to do this, because I want to we're already like at time for me doing Coffee with Shanda. So I want to talk about if you have no list. If you have no list, you've got to focus on audience. I mean, it's like, I know you're like, I need to make money now. You can make a hot list of referrals of people who know your character, who love you. But here's the deal. If you don't influence well and you haven't been generous with the people that you know and love, and they don't look at you as a superstar, if they do, great. Make a list of the people that you care about the most, and really make a decision on what could you offer people, anything that you've mastered. I posted this on Instagram. In fact, I have my Instagram handle in the description of our Facebook page to come join me on Instagram if we're not friends there yet. But I actually posted on Instagram the other day about this question around what have you mastered, right? If you've mastered it, then you can actually sell it. People actually sell what they think the world wants versus what it is that they've mastered. So if you sell something you've mastered, you can sell like crazy if you had somebody who wanted that offering. So make a list of people that know you really well, who you have influence with and they think you're amazing, and tell them what you're up to, and sell your personal time to anybody that they can refer to, and incentivize the referral. Literally tell them if it's a $10,000 offer, you'll give them $1,000, right? I know a real estate agent that you get 3% commissions. If people referred her business, she did all the work to sell the client, and she only took a 1% commission and gave the 2% commission to the referrer. So she gave more money to the referrer to incentivize the referrer. And she convinced the referrer, the person referring her business, that she could close and had great deals, right? So you need to think again, like, who is it that has friends and is already a powerhouse that thinks you're a powerhouse, and tell them what you're up to and ask if they want to refer people in, and that you'll incentivize them, and you're doing it this week. Put a limiter on it, right? Other than that, if you don't have an email list, you got to focus on building an audience. And I don't mean on social media. I love you all. I love to contribute to you. But the truth is that there's nothing like, it's like my email list, I can send an email and put 40, 50, 60 people on a phone call with myself, our sales team, and we can make offers to people who were a good fit, and we can solve their problems. It's a lot more challenging because of algorithms online. I spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on advertising on Facebook, Instagram, not as much on Instagram, but mainly Facebook. We're now moving into YouTube ads. It's expensive, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. Okay. And with that, there's like a return on investment schedule, which means that we don't always return on investment. Like with every dollar we spend, sometimes it takes us 2 or 3 months to recoup that money back. So if I spend 100,000, I might only make 50,000, half of that with paid ads, until 60 days later when that income catches up. And a lot of people can't play that game. So if you're spending money growing your audiences online, which I know there's so many of people like me that are teaching it, I believe in it. I just like first you to build an audience that you can email regularly, because you can front load all of those. I hope I'm not confusing anybody. You can take your email list, upload it to all your social platforms, and then retarget. Those are the cheapest ads you can ever spend. So I know I'm kind of going into more stuff, but focus on finding an audience if you don't have an audience at that point. Last thing I want to talk about is my hustle. Sorry, I'm 3 minutes over our 20-minute mark. I'm seeing a couple people drop off, and that's because I promised that I do this for 20 minutes. But hopefully if you're still on, this is like starting to trigger something for you. Here's how I have grown my business, and that is the pure hustle. The way that I found the money is I literally called a police officer. I didn't even call him. I risked failing, which for me, it was rejection. Like, I hated the idea of asking somebody if they would lend me money and them saying no, because of what that made me feel like inside, like a loser, like I can't believe I asked that person. Like, that's all the stuff I had to battle inside my head. So there was a guy who literally wanted to take me out. He was a police officer, and I sent him a text message, and I didn't know if he invested or didn't invest. I just got out of my own way, and I was more committed to figuring out how to get some money, because remember, I went to a seminar that taught me how to wholesale property. Well, you had to tie up property. So I needed like anywhere between $2,000 and $5,000 to tie up property to sell the note to a buyer. So this thing that I learned in the seminar, right? And so I didn't have that money to get in the game. So part of your job is figuring out what's the money to pay for the coaching or whatever it is that you're doing to get in the game. I didn't have to figure out how to pay for all of it. I need to figure out how to do my first deal, right? So what we teach is people how to build their email audience so that they can do their first deal and make all their money back and then grow from there, right? And so I had to figure that out. So I text messaged this guy, this cop in Vegas, and I text messaged him and I said, hey, I'm going to do some real estate investment deals, and I'm looking to raise some capital. Would you be interested in investing $5,000, not lending me, but investing $5,000 with me? This is all over text message. And I will give you 30% on your money within the year. And he responded, yes. Where do I send the check to? I remember freaking out. I remember going, oh my God, this is going to work. It's like my first win. We need to keep having these wins. My husband always says that, Ash is my husband. He always says, like, we need these small wins because the human spirit loves progress. And I really believe that. And so I remember freaking out, and I didn't know how to take his money. So I got online and I Googled like how to take people's money in real estate, things like that. And I came up with a document called a promissory note. I didn't know what it was. I read what it was. I just found it online, you guys. I printed out a promissory note. It was very simple. I filled it out, and I went to like a UPS and I faxed it to him. He faxed it back with his wiring information, all that, and I took his $5,000. Now, I gave myself a year to pay it back, which is the term of the loan. That way, I wasn't trying to put myself on more pressure that I had, like if this wholesale deal didn't work out or I had to do a couple of them, whatever it took, I was committed to figuring out whatever it took. That's another mindset thing. That was like I realized that was my last hook to succeed, right? Like I had no other avenues to succeed, which is a benefit to think that way. And so, but I needed enough time that if I screwed up or it didn't work, because common sense, I figured that it was going to have a learning curve to it. And so I gave myself a year to pay him back that 30% on his $5,000. Sure enough, my first wholesale deal worked. I made not only the money that I invested in the coach, which was $21,000, I also made his money back. I did take almost the entire year. I think I paid him back on the 10th month of the year, which was early, which meant that I now created credit with this person. I never had to use him again because money was never an issue from that point forward. I ended up building my coaching company, which is today. I grow a huge division in real estate, and my whole life changed. But what I got in that moment was my confidence. So sometimes your next move is to actually just get your confidence back and to find the money. So I'm 7 minutes over. I hope that doesn't mind. If this was helpful for you, I hope you don't mind. If this was helpful for you, please, tag somebody, share this, comment. I'd love to hear, was this useful for you? What was the thing that stood out for you that out of the 3 things that I taught you? And I will see you tomorrow morning, and I promise I will keep it at 20 minutes. I will see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's part 1, day 1 of 5 days about how do you find the money. All right, you guys, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.